Hello, this is William Scott with Golden Age Gardening. Today we're exploring something that can absolutely transform your garden from ordinary to extraordinary. We're talking about perennial flowers that don't just survive, they thrive, returning stronger each year, creating a breathtaking display that extends far into the autumn months. If you've ever struggled with choosing the right plants for your garden, or if you want to stop replanting the same beds every single year, then this video is for you. So please hit that subscribe button right now and tap the like button to help more gardeners discover these incredible plants. The foundation of every beautiful garden. Creating a truly stunning garden requires understanding one fundamental concept: timing and height. When you're planting your garden beds, you need plants that work together in layers. This means shorter specimens in the front, creating a gradual rise to taller varieties in the back. This layered approach creates visual interest and ensures every plant gets adequate light and air circulation. But here's where most gardeners make their first mistake. They choose plants based only on spring and summer color, completely forgetting about late-season displays. This is where perennial flowers truly shine. These hardy plants have an incredible ability to solve this problem. Perennial flower number 1, the Golden Crown specimen. Let's start with one of the most impressive performers in any garden, a truly magnificent plant that grows from virtually nothing into a towering presence by late summer. This hardy perennial exhibits extraordinary growth capacity that surprises gardeners year after year. The distinctive characteristics are remarkable. This plant produces massive amounts of foliage, reaching well above head height in most climates. The flowering display is absolutely stunning, featuring golden petals surrounding prominent dark centers. The blooms have an open structure that makes them incredibly accessible to pollinators. Bees and butterflies absolutely flock to these flowers, making this plant a wonderful addition for anyone interested in supporting local wildlife. Positioning this plant requires strategic thought. Many gardeners find success placing it toward the back of their borders or against the sides of beds, where its substantial height won't overshadow shorter specimens. The vertical element it provides is invaluable for creating that layered effect we discussed earlier. The flowering timeline is particularly noteworthy. This plant typically begins its blooming period around early August and continues through the entire month of September. Many gardeners report flowers persisting well into early October, depending on local climate conditions and weather patterns. This extended blooming period means your garden maintains continuous color just when many other plants are fading. As summer transitions into autumn, when earlier bloomers have finished their display, this perennial steps in and becomes the star of the show. The physical characteristics of the flowers are simple yet elegant. Each bloom features a charming cone shape with delicate petals radiating outward. The prominent dark center cone gives these flowers their common name and distinctive appearance. The flowers remain fresh-looking for weeks, providing consistent color throughout the season. From a growing perspective, this plant is entirely hardy and requires no special winter protection in most regions. It will naturally die back to ground level in winter, then emerge fresh and vigorous the following spring. Its spreading nature means it gradually expands to form increasingly full clumps. While this expansion is generally desirable, eventually the center of mature clumps may become less vigorous.
Perennial flower number 2, the Golden Gem variety. Now let's discuss another exceptional perennial that deserves a prominent place in every garden. This variety has earned its widespread popularity through consistent, reliable performance season after season. It's readily available at most garden centers, and for excellent reasons. The flower structure is delightfully simple and effective. Each bloom features radiating golden petals surrounding a substantial dark center. The cone-shaped flower head is both beautiful and functional, providing excellent access for pollinators throughout the blooming season. The color palette is warm and inviting, adding richness to any garden setting. This particular specimen performs beautifully in mixed planting combinations. Consider positioning it beneath spring-flowering shrubs that produce earlier blooms. The contrast between spring and late-season flowers creates visual interest that spans multiple seasons. When planted in this way, spring flowers provide early color, and then as those flowers fade, this perennial takes center stage in late summer and autumn. The positioning strategy is quite flexible. This plant thrives in full sun exposure, but also tolerates partial shade conditions remarkably well. In areas that receive morning sun followed by afternoon shade, this perennial absolutely shines. The partial shade actually seems to intensify the golden coloring of the petals, creating a luminous quality that's especially striking as you move into the quieter months of autumn. The flowering season begins around early August and extends through September and frequently into October. The blooming period is generous, providing weeks of continuous color. The hardy nature of this specimen means it requires no winter protection and will return reliably year after year without special treatment. Growth habit is another strength. The plant naturally spreads into increasingly full clumps over time, creating attractive drifts of color. In full sun conditions, growth is particularly vigorous. The spreading tendency is generally positive, but gardeners should understand that after several years in the same location, congestion may develop. Maintenance considerations are straightforward. While this plant can remain in place for many years without division, optimal performance typically occurs when clumps are lifted and separated every 4 to 5 years. This rejuvenation process prevents the development of weak centers and encourages continued vigorous growth.
Understanding perennial division and renewal. The process of dividing and rejuvenating perennial clumps is actually quite straightforward, and it's one of the most effective ways to maintain plant vigor and create new specimens throughout your garden. The best timing for this work is spring, around the month of March, when you observe the first new leaves beginning to emerge. This is when plants have maximum energy reserves for recovery and can quickly establish in their new locations. While autumn division is possible, spring consistently produces superior results in most climates. The basic procedure involves several simple steps. First, carefully lift the entire clump from the ground, taking care to extract as much of the root system as possible. Once removed, the underlying soil becomes an excellent opportunity for improvement. Work organic compost deeply into the soil, breaking up compacted areas and incorporating nutrients that support vigorous future growth. The lifted clump should then be separated into smaller sections. Look for natural divisions where you can separate vigorous outer portions from the potentially tired center. Many gardeners choose to discard the old central portion entirely, as this area often becomes less productive over time. The outer portions are typically more vigorous and establish more readily. Each divided section should be planted at approximately the same depth it previously occupied. Water thoroughly after planting to eliminate air pockets and settle the soil around new roots. As spring progresses and temperatures warm, these divided sections will develop new growth and become established in their locations.
Maximizing color and continuous interest. The key to a spectacular garden that maintains beauty throughout the growing season lies in thoughtful plant selection and strategic placement. Rather than relying on a few dramatic bloomers that have limited seasons, consider building a framework of reliable perennials that flower at different times. Spring and early summer showcase bulbs and spring-flowering perennials. These provide the garden's opening act, creating fresh color as weather warms. But as these plants fade in midsummer, many gardens enter a quiet period. This is precisely where late-blooming perennials become invaluable. By incorporating specimens that flower from August through October, you ensure your garden never loses its appeal. Borders maintain color and interest even as the broader landscape begins its transition toward dormancy. This extended beauty is one of the most significant advantages of including these plants in your design. The height variation created by these taller perennials also solves structural challenges in many garden layouts. Beds that would otherwise appear flat and uninteresting gain dimension and presence. The eye is naturally drawn upward, creating a sense of abundance and maturity in the garden. Why these perennials matter for every gardener. Whether you're an experienced gardener or just beginning your gardening journey, these hardy perennials solve real problems. They eliminate the need for annual replanting. They provide reliable color when it matters most, in late summer and autumn, when natural garden color is declining. They support pollinators and beneficial insects, creating a healthier ecosystem right in your own landscape. The hardiness of these plants means they require no special winter protection or coddling. Plant them in spring, provide basic summer watering during establishment, and they'll happily return year after year. This reliability is genuinely one of their greatest strengths. The extended flowering period means you receive months of color from a single plant. This dramatically improves the value and effectiveness of your planting schemes. Instead of flowers that bloom for a few weeks, these perennials provide weeks of consistent, beautiful displays. Planning your own perennial garden. When designing your own garden with these plants in mind, begin by assessing your available space and light conditions. Full sun locations are ideal but not essential. These specimens tolerate partial shade beautifully, opening up more planting possibilities. Consider your design's vertical structure. Where will you create height? The back of borders and the sides of beds are natural choices for taller specimens. Think about how these plants will relate to adjacent plantings and how they'll look from your primary viewing areas. Prepare your soil thoroughly before planting. Well-draining soil enriched with organic compost provides the best foundation. Most of these perennials prefer soil that drains well while retaining adequate moisture during the growing season. Avoid waterlogged conditions, which can lead to root rot issues. Spacing is important for long-term success. While these plants spread over time, initially position them with adequate space for growth. The specific spacing recommendations vary by variety, but generally planting at 3 to 4 foot intervals allows for attractive, mature development.
Caring for established plantings. Once established, these perennials require minimal intervention. Summer watering is important during the first year and during particularly dry spells. After establishment, their deep root systems access soil moisture effectively, reducing water needs. Fertilizer requirements are generally modest. If your soil is reasonably fertile, additional feeding may be unnecessary. In less productive soils, a single application of balanced fertilizer in early spring supports vigorous growth. Disease and pest issues are rare with these hardy specimens. The open flower structure and good air circulation typically prevent fungal problems. Insects rarely cause significant damage. The primary maintenance task is that periodic division and rejuvenation we discussed. This process is actually quite simple and provides tremendous returns in terms of plant vigor and available planting material. Each time you divide, you can expand your plantings throughout the garden or share divisions with fellow gardeners. Creating year-round garden interest. Think of your garden as an ongoing story that unfolds through the seasons. Spring provides the opening chapter with fresh growth and early flowers. Summer develops the narrative with peak color and abundance. Autumn becomes the climax, a glorious final act before the winter rest. Including these late-blooming perennials ensures your garden's story has a truly spectacular finale. As the broader landscape shifts toward dormancy, your beds remain vibrant and alive. This creates a dramatic and deeply satisfying effect. The versatility of these plants allows them to work in various garden styles. In cottage gardens, they add cottage charm. In modern landscapes, they provide architectural interest through height and form. In wildlife gardens, they support butterflies and bees when these creatures most need resources before winter. The satisfaction of perennial gardening. There's something profoundly satisfying about establishing perennial plantings that improve and expand year after year. Unlike annuals that require seasonal replanting, perennials become established fixtures that become more beautiful and substantial over time. The time and energy you invest in planning and establishing these plantings pay dividends for many years. Each spring, these plants emerge and resume their growth. Each late summer, they reward you with abundant flowers. This reliability and the sense of continuity it creates is genuinely one of gardening's greatest pleasures. Your garden becomes a living archive of your efforts and vision. Plants you've chosen and positioned thoughtfully create beauty that evolves and matures. Watching this progression year after year creates a connection to your garden that's difficult to achieve with temporary plantings. Inviting more gardeners to discover these plants. If you found this information helpful, please share this video with friends and family members who love gardens. Comment below with your favorite late-blooming perennials or your questions about growing these plants. Subscribe to the Golden Age Gardening channel to receive regular videos about plants that transform gardens throughout the seasons. We're constantly exploring new plant varieties and gardening techniques designed to make gardening more enjoyable and rewarding. Each video builds on this foundation, introducing new specimens and strategies for creating beautiful, low-maintenance gardens that provide continuous color and interest. The world of perennial gardening is vast and fascinating. There are specimens for every condition: sunny spots and shady corners, wet areas and dry slopes, formal designs and naturalistic drifts. By mastering the basics with these foundational plants, you develop the confidence and knowledge to explore this wider world.
Please don't hesitate to reach out with specific questions about growing these perennials in your location. Different climates present different challenges and opportunities. The fundamental principles remain consistent, but local adaptation ensures better results. Thank you for watching this exploration of these extraordinary perennials. Like, share, and subscribe to ensure you never miss our latest gardening content. We're excited to help you create the beautiful garden you've always envisioned. Happy gardening, and we'll see you in the next video.